growing up being sick all the time. I would spend all day when I was home, and even if I had a migraine, I would put on TV or movies or whatever I had access to have a life outside of being home in bed and sick. That was my escape from being in physical pain and being disconnected from people. Like, I think I figured out a lot sooner than most people do in the film industry that you can make a career out of it without being a director or producer. And I'd made the decision that I would be perfectly happy just working in the film industry. Being an assistant director and being a production assistant, I was really happy doing those things. So it didn't, that like really deep-seated, heartfelt, very deep down desire to direct wasn't ever a driving motivator in my career until when Michigan lost the tax incentive. When the stability of my career as an AD was gone, I was going to have to make a change no matter what. I would either have to change the department I worked in, I would have to stop doing films and only work on commercials, or I was going to have to move. Little kernel of a passion and a desire and a dream started coming back. And learning enough about what a director does to know that's what I wanted to do, but also kind of just letting my inner child have that dream again, because it's everybody's dream in Hollywood. It's everybody's dream in the entertainment industry. And it was a lot simpler and a lot safer emotionally for me to not have the same dream as everybody else did. It just got to a point where denying that I wanted to direct to myself, like denying that desire within myself took so much more energy than the energy it would take to pursue it. Crap, now what do I do with myself now that I know I want to be a director? Everybody wants to be a director. Who am I to be doing this? But being a filmmaker and being disabled are both intrinsic parts of my personality. So like, there is no one comes before the other. They're both just, they've been part of who I am since I can remember. I always had chronic illness. We just didn't know what it was. I didn't know that my body was behaving ways that other kids weren't until I got old enough to notice things like I was sick a lot more often than other kids. And I don't mean sick like a cold or a flu necessarily. I mean, I feel really unwell and I just need to stay home. It was like this driving force in my body saying, you need to rest, you need to lay down. And it wasn't until I was 20, just before I turned 21, that I finally got an accurate diagnosis. With chronic illness, until you have like the corner piece of the puzzle, you can't see that all the pieces are even part of the same puzzle. Once I had that corner piece, that I started fainting, which is a telltale marker of my disorder. You're gonna have to look up how to spell this maybe. Postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which is under an umbrella of disorders called dysautonomia, where your autonomic nervous system isn't regulating itself correctly. Had it not been for the escalation, I probably still wouldn't know to this day what it was. I would not have a good life, I don't think, unless I knew what it was that was affecting my body, and then on top of that, finding a community that understands and supports it. The thing I struggle with as a disabled filmmaker isn't my disability. It's accessibility within the industry and ableism and misunderstanding from even friends, peers, family, definitely faculty, how we're taught filmmaking has to work, of people running themselves ragged and all these really, really long work days. There's just a lot of access problems to the film industry if you're operating on the idea that you have to be a disheveled, overworked artist. It's weird to say that I don't even use the word struggle with my chronic illness anymore. I don't struggle with chronic illness. That's not a phrase that I use. I live with it. But I do struggle with how to find the balance between building my team around me that can support me as a human while they're supporting me as being a filmmaker. I think this is actually something I genuinely struggle with, is the work-life balance, because that can't be controlled by an outside force for me. It's controlled by my wildly unpredictable body, and that can be frustrating. So finding the balance between all of those forces that I'm not in control of in filmmaking, between my health, other people, just shit happening, people getting in car accidents on the way to set. Just all the little things that you can't control. I've cultivated my life to try to be as in control as I possibly can so I can maintain my ability to work and enjoy my life, but at the same time, I can't control everything, and learning how to deal with the mental health ramifications of letting go. And finding the life-work balance, I think, is inherently important to artists, because if you're trying to tell any sort of story with your work, you have to be experiencing things in life to even have any stories to talk about or tell. I think a huge mistake that I see in most of the creatives around me, and it's definitely something I've done myself, is getting so wrapped up, especially in film school settings. You're so wrapped up in either creating or imbibing, I guess for lack of a better word, other art, and watching tons and tons and tons of movies, that you forget that's not where stories come from. Everything becomes really reductive if all you're doing is working on other people's sets, your own set, and then watching film. Where do you fit into any of that if you're not actually living a life? Because I love being on set. If, the therapist says, go to your happy place, my brain goes to being on set. I don't know, I'm struggling with the boredom that I have of only having a life that has to do with film right now. And I want more than that. A big phrase that I've drilled into my own head is that rest and having a life is actually being productive. You have to recharge your batteries, whether you have a chronic illness or disability or not. There's plenty of documented cases of that in film as well, of just burnout physically harming people or causing harm to others. And there's a fine line between being passionate about something and being reckless. And I don't ever want to be reckless with my passion. I don't even like using the word passion anymore because I feel like it's been sort of weaponized to justify a workaholic culture. When other people say the word like passion project to me, my hairs stand up on the back of my neck immediately and I see red flags everywhere of, oh, okay, you want this thing so much that you're willing to do it at any cost, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's not worth it. Art can change the world, stories can change the world, but nobody should be harmed in the process of creating it, ever. My name is Danni McClellan. I'm from Detroit. I am a disabled filmmaker, and I love telling stories.
You got it, you got it. Hey! Can I have one on set real quick, please?